Greetings, fellow followers of the strange. I'm back in record time. Today's video is going to be a little different because I want to talk to you about a painting that I own and the story behind how I got it. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to make some adjustments here and start with that painting. Hold on. And we're back. I want to try and give you as good a shot of this piece as I can. The name of the painting is a reply of the Zaporozhian Cossacks. It's by a Russian artist named Ilya Repin. He painted it during the years of 1880 to 1891, so it took him 11 years to complete his great love and work. Go a little closer here. And if you pause and just look dead center, you'll see that while at first when you glance at this painting, you're not 100% sure what it is, but when you focus hard on the middle, you realize this is a gathering, and they're doing something interesting. They're writing a letter. Now, the letter that they are writing is to Mehmed IV, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. And it's really rather an interesting story. So I'm going to break for just a second, come back, have a pipe, talk a little bit about it. This original painting, by the way, now hangs in the State Russian Museum in St. Petersburg. I shall return. Hello, I'm back. There's going to be some sunlight issues bouncing through various windows. But there's nothing I can do about that because I don't control the sun. And if you hear any additional loud noises, it's because the farmers are at work across the street in the fields. Now, back to the painting. As I said, if you look at it carefully, you see that there is a gentleman sitting at the table, and he's writing a letter. He has a quill and a feather and everything. Now, the letter was being written to Mehmed IV, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed, like most punch-drunk dictators, couldn't really accept facts. His forces had just been defeated by the Cossacks. He was unable to destroy them in battle. But Mehmed sent a letter to them on the territories that he wanted, but the Cossacks controlled, and had just beat him. He sent a letter still saying to them that they had to live under Ottoman rule, that they were to submit immediately. He had just been defeated in military battle. So the Cossacks, being the Cossacks, who relished vulgarity and profanity, did what came natural to them. They drafted a letter to the dear Sultan and filled it with as much vulgarity as they could come up with, and basically told him, up your nose with a rubber hose. Now, this particular edition, I mean, obviously, it's a reproduction, and it's got some wear to it. I would estimate it probably was created in the 30s or 40s. It could be slightly sooner. There's really no way to perfectly come up with that. But I can come up with that estimate based upon who owned it. This painting was given to me by a very dear friend of mine, who is no longer with us, and he was an Orthodox priest. We were very close. We had very similar senses of humor, and we were very dry, and his mother passed away, and this painting had hung in her home for decades. Now, my friend did speak Russian. He spoke 4 languages, one of which was Russian. He was born in the U.S., but his parents were Russian immigrants, and she always spoke Russian at home. No English in her house. She spoke broken English to people outside, but inside the house it was Russian, so she maintained much of the Russian culture around her. And this painting was one of her possessions, and he wanted to know if I would like to have it. Naturally, I said I certainly would. That was, I don't know, probably 28 years ago or so. I mean, I've had it a long time. It's oil on heavy board. It's not in the best of condition at this point, but that's okay. That's fine. But by the way, where are my manners? This is a Barling Labatt. Beautiful little pipe, very lightweight. And in it I have Astley's 44 Flake, which is a Virginia, a dark Virginia. It's comparable in taste to like Marlin Flake from Rattray. I knew somebody else around the same time that I was friends with the Orthodox priest, and this guy was also into art. I would like to say we were friends, but really when I look back, associates would be a better term. But I remember him being at my apartment once and looking at the various arts that I had on my wall, my humble little collection, and him saying that piece, the reply of the Zaporozhian Cossacks, was the only thing on my walls that he would own. And I said, well, I'm glad you like it, because you're certainly never going to have my copy. he didn't have a very healthy filter in his brain. But that's okay. I forgive him. But it is a nice painting. It's a joyous painting on many levels. First of all, it's a middle finger being extended to what was one of the most powerful empires of the day, directly to the most powerful man in the world at the time. No, you may not tell us what to do. No. We're not going to live under your rule just because you say so. And we will fight if we have to, and we have fought, and we have already defeated you. And you can kiss our collective and move along. So the painting has a lot going on in it. Obviously, you could study it for a while. 11 years to complete it. It's a long time. After it was completed, I believe it was purchased by Alexander III for something like 35,000 rubles. Which would have been a fair sum of money at that time. Whatever position in life you're at, crisis of life, whatever, I encourage you to have art around you, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to have art. People make the mistake of thinking that they're going to have to spend a lot of money, and you don't have to do it. You can surround yourself with art through various means. People get rid of stuff all the time that they don't want anymore. They put it at the end of their driveway. They sell it on garage sales, and you can buy a lot of nice stuff inexpensively. You can buy reprints of great works of art that may intrigue you, and you can get them at very reasonable prices. In fact, you can get the print reasonable, but what isn't reasonable is if you go to a professional framer. That will cost you a great deal of money, and that you kind of have to draw a line and say maybe you should just go ahead and frame it yourself. It may not be the best frame job, but it will do the job. It will suit you. The painting does remind me a great deal of my friend, because he was a very, very intelligent human being. It was my great honor to know him. But he also had a certain sharpness of the tongue that I admired, because it was a little bit like mine. We didn't suffer fools. When he came into my life, well, not really, when we accidentally came into each other's life, he was very ill. He had catastrophic illnesses that struck him at a very early age. And he was obviously, at the time I met him, he was dressed. He looked like a Catholic priest, for your references of how the Orthodox dress. He looked like a Catholic priest. And me having been raised in the Catholic Church, the first thing I said when I looked at him, before there was a mutual friend introducing us, saying, "Have you ever met Father such and such?" And I said, "Oh my God." And I said, "They tracked me down." That was the only time I ever referred to him by his title. That's the only time I ever called him Father. Because it became very clear as we were getting to know each other that he didn't want me to call him Father. He wanted a friend. He wanted someone to talk about lots of things with. He needed an escape from the infantile complaints of his parish board, which was endless. We ate, we drank, we smoked pipes and cigars, went to movies. I had many a dinner at his house. His wife and children were very nice to me. When he passed, and although things had reached a point where they were getting worse and worse, it still came as a great shock to me when I was called and told he had died in the hospital. I remember that I was supposed to, there's a fly out here bothering me. I was supposed to be going to a dinner of some sort that evening, and I was having difficulty making it because I was sort of just hanging out in my office and thinking about the passing of my friend. The interesting thing, the rites of the death of a priest, in his tradition, his coffin was built specifically for him. It was made by hand by monks, and part of the tradition is that for a period of 24 hours, his body was in the church in front of the altar, and he is surrounded by monks and priests, and they do an all-night vigil and stay with him. On the day of the ceremony, he was not buried in the state we lived in. He was taken home to a family plot in another state. But his wife told me while we were standing in the church that he had told her shortly before his death that he considered me his best friend. And that was deeply moving. So obviously I look at the painting and I have nothing but good memories. I can be driving down the road from time to time. He's been gone a long time. He was only 57 years old when he died. He's been gone a very long time. I still think of him, but it's all good. I have no sadness in that regard, none whatsoever. he was suffering and was facing even more suffering. Um, and I just enjoyed the time that I had with him, and grateful for his many acts of kindness toward me. Um, we had a lot of good conversations. Almost none about yacht. He wasn't interested in talking about. He wasn't interested in me being a part of what his tradition was, or he knew I had serious questions, and I didn't hesitate to challenge them. But it was a lot of fun to know him. So I hope that this hasn't been too boring. It probably has. I'm sitting in my garage. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. That's why the lighting was fluctuated, because there's a door off to the side that has a very thin curtain, and then the garage door is that way. And I don't have curtains or anything on there. All the windows are crystal clear. Well, no, they're not crystal clear because I'm not that good of a housekeeper. Plus, right now the dust is kicking up out of the fields because the farmers are very busy right now. All right, well, this is going to be a long video, and I I won't apologize for it because hey, I wanted to do something different and see what your thoughts on it was. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you hated it, let me know. If you don't care, don't let me know. Very good. I'm going to continue. And by the way, I think I told you this. If you're interested in knowing what Astley's 44, yeah, the taste-wise, it is very close to Rattray's Marlin Flake. I had actually forgotten that I had a little of this jarred up when I am trying to, reduce my the speed with which I'm smoking my HH Pure Virginia, but I'm not very good at saying no to it because I tend to smoke 2 bowls of it a day. So, all right, this is definitely a long one for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. And just thank you. Have a great week.